Why is it that Harry Styles needs to constantly defend his sexuality? Harry has once again responded to criticism online from those who say that he isn't queer because he's only publicly dated the opposite gender. Quote, "Sometimes people say, you've only been with women, and I don't think I've publicly been with anyone. If someone takes a picture of you with someone, it doesn't mean you're choosing to have a public relationship or something." It's quite apparent that being in the spotlight for over a decade can really take a toll on your personal life. The British superstar also spoke to Better Homes and Gardens about the impact that fame has on his sexuality. Quote, "For a long time, I felt like the only thing that was mine was my sex life. I felt so ashamed about it, ashamed at the idea of people even knowing that I was having sex, let alone who with." What he's talking about, of course, is the overwhelming pressure from fans to see into his love life since he first rose to fame in 2010 as a member of One Direction. The pop band was a worldwide sensation, and as a result, the members quickly found themselves at the center of attention for millions of adoring fans. But drawing a curtain over his life has only made everyone who's not behind it all the more curious and borderline obsessive. In fact, the singer's sexuality has been a topic of discussion for years, and Harry himself has even called the constant speculation outdated. In 2017, he told The Sun that he doesn't feel like it's something that he's ever had to explain about himself. Quote, "It's weird to me. Everyone should just be who they want to be. It's tough to justify somebody having to answer to someone else about stuff like that." And a few years later, he addressed it again, saying, "I've been really open with it with my friends, but that's my personal experience. It's mine. The whole point of where we should be heading, which is toward accepting everybody and being more open, is that it doesn't matter, and it's not about having to label everything, not about having to clarify what boxes you're checking." So it's pretty clear that Harry Styles believes that when it comes to defining your sexuality, no labels is the way to go. But unfortunately, those statements only amped up the hate train against him, as many in the LGBTQ+ community feel that the singer revels in the ambiguity of it all and accused him of queerbaiting, which is profiting off of gay aesthetics in his music and fashion without explicitly claiming the community. But what's the basis for that argument? Well, fans have pointed to the fact that Harry has been known to wear dresses and actually appeared on the cover of Vogue wearing a periwinkle blue gown. And while the photo immediately sparked passionate conversations around masculinity and gendered dressing, Harry didn't use it as an opportunity to clarify his own sexuality, much to everyone's disappointment. He just let it be. In 2021, he even launched his own beauty brand called Pleasing, which has become popular for its pearly nail polish shades. He's also frequently waving pride flags during concerts, including when he headlined Coachella and grabbed a bisexual flag from the crowd, all while wearing a rainbow sequined jumpsuit. When online backlash against the singer intensified, with accusations of being, quote, "gay for pay," he told The Guardian, "Am I sprinkling in nuggets of sexual ambiguity to try and be more interesting? No. In terms of how I want to dress and what the album sleeves are gonna be, I tend to make decisions in terms of collaborators I want to work with. I want things to look a certain way, not because it makes me look gay or it makes me look straight or because it makes me look bisexual, but because I think it looks cool. And more than that, I don't know. I just think that sexuality is something that's fun." While Harry has been dating Olivia Wilde for almost 2 years, and they seem like they have a really great relationship, it's sad that fans see this as just another opportunity to label him as straight.
He started out on a singing competition before joining a boy band and becoming the most successful member of the group in pursuing their solo career. Since then, he has gone so far as to be called the new King of Pop, a pretty big title. With such high status, it makes sense that a lot of girls would want to be his girlfriend, and most recently he has taken to a partnership with actress Olivia Wilde. Harry has, however, been around the block when it comes to celebrity dating. His exes including the likes of Taylor Swift, Kendall Jenner, Emily Attic, and many more. Like with many high-profile relationships, the paparazzi, news reporters, and fans always have something to say and often put a lot of pressure on the couple. It seems that this newest relationship is no exception, and many fans have been rude to Harry and especially Olivia over social media. So let's take a look at their relationship, people's reactions, and how both of them have been responding to the cruel messages. Harry and Olivia tried to keep their relationship under wraps at the beginning, first being spotted together holding hands at the wedding of Harry's manager. A source even said that in his wedding speech he referred to Olivia Wilde as his girlfriend. Shortly after, they would make their relationship public and would be spotted together more often around Harry's home home and walking around California. It seems that the two's relationship has been very successful, as they are often seen supporting each other in the real world and in encouraging messages over social media. Unfortunately, just because they're happy together doesn't mean other people are happy they're together, and many have taken to criticizing the pair. People don't like the idea of Harry Styles being in a relationship, whether it's because they still believe that he is somehow romantically linked to former One Direction member Louis forming Larry, or because they want to be with him themselves. People have gone so far as to accuse Olivia Wilde of crimes and disturbing acts in order to show how much they dislike her and her being with Harry. One search online quickly returns rude comments towards Olivia, and many of these tweets have tons of likes and people agreeing with them. Some of the messages that I found were, "Olivia Wilde is a effing homophobe and is friends with bad people. I don't find any reason to make beautiful comments for her even though she's in a relationship with Harry Styles. I hate Olivia Wilde and I don't have to feel sorry for that. And I don't say this lightly, I hate Olivia Wilde." If you're curious why people would call her homophobic and use this as justification for hating her, it's because she made a comment in an interview where she said changing roles in filmmaking was like coming out of the closet, so make your own opinion on what you think of that. Despite what may or may not be felt and believed by fans, Harry and Olivia have both taken to responding to the intense backlash that has been felt against their relationship. In a recent interview with Rolling Stone, Harry Styles was asked to comment on the small, toxic corners of the internet, and he quickly responded with, "That obviously doesn't make me feel good." He continued with, "It's obviously a difficult feeling to feel like being close to me means you're at the ransom of a corner of Twitter or something." He said that he just wanted to sing and was upset by his career leading to this sort of bullying and harassment. He said he didn't want to get into it if it was going to end up hurting people. Olivia Wilde commented on how she believes that the fandom is still great as a whole, and the people saying cruel things are only a small minority. She said, "I don't personally believe the hateful energy defines his fan base at all. The majority of them are true champions of kindness." Despite these comments, many people continue to speak out on social media about just how much they don't like her, and how they think that their relationship is one big publicity stunt. Olivia Wilde is set to make her second directing debut after Booksmart. The film is also where she met her now boyfriend, musician Harry Styles. Harry Styles is going to be playing one of the main characters alongside actress Florence Pugh, those two playing the role of a young couple in the film. As there is with any upcoming Hollywood movie, especially with names as big as this one, there's always drama and rumors that spread about the production. This one has had a few, mostly revolving around the relationship between Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles, but also what appears to be an unfair pay gap between the two main characters. Hollywood has a history of often paying female stars less than their male co-stars, and people online believe that Olivia Wilde's upcoming flick is no different. So let's take a look at the upcoming movie, the rumors, and what people involved have had to say about it. The main thing that people have noticed between Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh talking about and marketing the film is that there appears to be some kind of a feud going on between the two. Olivia Wilde seems to be marketing the physical relationships as a big selling point in the film, while Pugh disagrees with this and seems to drag Wilde through the mud a bit, saying, "When it's reduced to your sex scenes or to watch the most famous man in the world go down on someone, it's not why we do it. It's not why I'm in this industry." And when Olivia posted behind the scenes photos adoring Florence Pugh working, they noticed that Pugh didn't say anything about the movie in return. Some outlets saying that Pugh might be unhappy about Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles' relationship. Another thing she may be unhappy about is the reports that Harry is being paid 3 times more than she is. According to reports, Florence Pugh, who has been an absolutely breakout actress in the last few years, was paid $700,000 for her starring role in the movie. Her co-star, Harry Styles, who is making this only his second acting credit ever, was allegedly paid $2.5 million. A pretty big gap for two co-stars with drastically different acting experience and skills. Chris Pine, another big name actor in the film, is also apparently only being paid $600,000. Harry Styles' big paycheck is likely credited to the fact of how in demand he is, probably being one of the most famous musicians in the game right now. Olivia Wilde, however, completely denies these claims. She said, "There's been a lot out there that I largely don't pay attention to, but the absurdity of invented clickbait and subsequent reaction regarding a non-existent pay disparity between our lead and supporting actors really upset me. I'm a woman who has been in this business for over 20 years, and it's something that I have fought for myself and others, especially being a director. There is absolutely no validity to those claims." Florence Pugh herself has not had anything to say about these claims, and really not much to say about the movie at all, perhaps due to the apparent feud taking place between her and Wilde. Olivia has been outspoken about the film, obviously excited about her second directing credit and hoping to make a splash in the small world of big-time female directors, a group that is even smaller when you narrow it down to actresses turned directors. Because of this, many are hoping to see Don't Worry Darling become a box office success, though with the release of trailers and clips, there has been an online buzz of people making fun of Harry Styles' acting. Though I do believe that the amount of fangirls who are going to go see the movie just to see Harry, no matter what it's about or the quality of it, will more than make up for it and bring in a lot of cash for the movie. It's set to release in just over a week, so we'll just have to wait for it to come out to see how it does.
Harry Styles has been caught spitting on Chris Pine. Oh no, he didn't. Well, we sure hope that he didn't, because there are millions of girls and guys that have adored Harry for all of his genius, and they will be deeply disappointed. If you haven't been following the chronicles of Don't Worry Darling, oh boy, you have been missing out. Don't Worry Darling looks to be an epic movie starring quite the cast: Florence Pugh, my love, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, Olivia Wilde, and another one of my favorites, Gemma Chan. There has been so much drama surrounding the release of this film, and most of us wonder, is all of this just a genius marketing campaign catering to a very morally just audience that would definitely want to have a say in this drama? Or is it perhaps real? And if it is, does it even matter anymore, as we all seem to forget about an incident and move on within days? So perhaps a celeb like Olivia Wilde would be willing to put herself under some heat in order to bring more eyeballs to her film, if it meant that everyone would move on and not care in a month. All in the name of eyeballs, which leads to more money. It's possible. The newest scandal of the film surprisingly has nothing to do with Olivia this time though. This one is around a clip that has been circulating online, and the clip is of Olivia and Chris Pine sitting down beside each other at the Venice premiere of their film, and then we see Harry Styles coming to take his seat beside Chris. What's weird about the clip though is that Harry makes a sort of movement with his mouth that looks like he spit on Chris as he's sitting down, and we all see Chris react by immediately pausing his clapping and then picks up his glasses. Some people think that Chris picking up his glasses was perhaps strategic, as he might not want people to think that anything had occurred. The thing is though, the internet has been going crazy over this, and most people are pretty sure that Harry did in fact spit on him. Some people think that Chris just zoned out and perhaps forgot where his glasses were, and then he discovered them as he was clapping. Apparently Chris seemingly has been zoning out a lot throughout his press tour, and so some people are on board with this theory. Harry's face though would say that something transpired, but I don't know if I'm convinced by that theory. Some people say that Harry's motive could be because Chris sat down next to Olivia, whom is Harry Styles' girlfriend. Harry Styles' fan base is not having it though, and they've been showcasing the incident at all angles to prove that he did not spit on Chris, and to be honest, it really doesn't look like anything left Harry's mouth. Logically, Harry knew all eyes would be on him. Do you really think he would spit on Chris in front of everyone? Even though the cast does seem tense, and perhaps Chris and Harry do appear a tad frosty to each other, but I'm not sure I'm fully convinced of this one.
In the midst of all the recent Don't Worry Darling drama are rumors that Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde have called things quits. If you didn't know, fans thought Wilde and Styles broke things off because of how little they'd interacted at the much talked about Venice premiere of the film. Wilde appears in the movie and she is the director. Styles is the male lead next to Florence Pugh. too. Most of the drama surrounding the film had to do with Pugh and Shia LaBeouf, who Wilde claims she fired and he claims he left on his own. Regardless of the Don't Worry Darling drama, it appears that Stiles and Olivia are still together. Wilde was spotted at Harry's final show at a sold-out Madison Square Garden. It was his last of a historic 15-show run at Madison Square Garden, an event that your girlfriend would likely show up to if you had one. Well spotted in the crowd of his show was none other than Olivia Wilde. She was spotted supporting Stiles by dancing and singing along to the music. All of the fans in the crowd received a feather boa, Wilde included, who rocked it around her neck during the concert. I personally thought things were over because they really seemed to be almost avoiding each other in Venice, so this is news to me too. That being said, even when they were together, I rarely saw anything about the two. Maybe they're just not a PDA couple. Wilde was recently on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and doubled down on the controversy involving Shia LaBeouf. Wilde stuck with her story of he gave her an ultimatum, either he goes or Florence goes, and she chose Flo. I'm not sure whose side I take when it comes to Wilde and LaBeouf, but I don't think he would be so adamant on making people think she fired him if he was the one giving ultimatums. I'm Team Florence and that's it, I guess. But seriously, I think either Wilde and Stiles are just not a PDA couple, or maybe it's all an act to get people into the theaters. Regardless of the truth, I wish them the best together, or not. Honestly, I hope the truth comes out soon because I really am dying to know what really went down. Don't Worry Darling hits theaters on September 23rd, so maybe after its release, things will start to come out. Tomlinson is set to release his second studio album, Faith in the Future, on November 11th. When he sat down with Telegraph, he shared about how he used to feel when comparing his solo trajectory with that of Stiles, who has released 3 #1 albums, scored 2 #1 singles, and is just in general one of the most successful artists of the time. Tomlinson admitted, "I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me at first, only because I didn't know where to place myself, and really my only point of reference was the other members of the band." He then went on to say that he's not surprised that Harry has the most commercial success because he really fits the mold of a modern star. Tomlinson also commented on the fact that music isn't Harry's only venture since the band. He said he's got film as well, and the tour he's done is unbelievable. "It took me a while to work out where I stand." As impressive as Stiles' achievements are, Tomlinson said he feels proud of his former bandmate who he looks at like a brother. He said, "I have a lot of pride for what he's doing." Tomlinson also shared that his former bandmates check in on each other and they will probably message him when the album comes out. As for the possibility of a reunion, Tomlinson wasn't so sure. He revealed, "I don't see anything happening for at least another 10 years, but you never know."
Why are people throwing things at Harry Styles? Harry appears to have been injured after a crazy fan threw hard candy onto the stage. While performing Kiwi at the Kia Forum in LA, the singer was pelted with a shower of Skittles, some of which hit his eye. A video of the moment was shared on Twitter, and the footage shows multiple pieces of candy zooming across the stage before a single piece hits Harry directly in his left eye. In the clip, Harry immediately winces and holds his hand up to his eye while bowing his head toward the floor. As he then turns to the camera, he is visibly squinting, and apparently he couldn't open his eye for the rest of the show. It's safe to say that fans were outraged at the incident. One user tweeted, "Whoever the F threw a solid object at his eye, you literally ruined Kiwi because he couldn't open his eye for the whole song." Another person wrote, "Whoever threw those Skittles, I hope you're embarrassed and crying and are never allowed into a Harry concert again." Following the Monday night incident, the official Skittles Instagram account released a statement saying, "Didn't think I needed to say this. Please don't throw Skittles." So even the candy company itself made it clear that you shouldn't be throwing Skittles on stage, let alone at celebrities. To make matters worse, Harry was later filmed driving himself home from the venue, where he appeared to be rubbing his injured eye, so obviously there was some real damage done. But sadly, fans throwing things on stage is not exactly a new issue for Harry, and it has been happening a lot to other celebrities as well. In fact, just last month, musician Steve Lacy had to cut his New Orleans gig short after a fan threw a literal disposable camera at him. He then smashed the fan's camera and walked off stage saying, "Don't throw crap on my effing stage." Earlier this year, Louis Tomlinson was also the target of crazy concert goers during a show in New York after someone threw a chicken nugget which hit him on the head. He shouted, "Who has hit me in the head with an effing chicken nugget? You're taking the piss now, have it back." and then he threw the nugget back into the crowd. Not to mention in August when Lady Gaga had a teddy bear thrown at her while performing in Toronto. The singer had to dodge the flying object mid-song, and afterwards she just carried on like a true professional as if nothing had ever happened. But fluffy or not, considering how much damage any object can do when it's thrown at someone who isn't expecting it, it's probably about time that everyone just straight up stopped throwing things on stage. In September last year, Harry kicked off his ambitious 167-date world tour in Las Vegas, and it's set to run for 22 months in support of his second and third studio albums. In fact, Love on Tour has already made history thanks to Harry's record-breaking 15-night run at New York's Madison Square Garden. But early this month, fans were disappointed when he was forced to push back 3 of his dates in LA after coming down with the flu. It was definitely a major setback because he initially rescheduled his show from November the 4th to November the 6th after a member of his band fell ill. But not long after that, Harry revealed that he was also sick, and he most likely caught whatever was going around. On his Instagram story shortly before his gig was supposed to start, he wrote, "Towards the end of the show on Wednesday, I started feeling ill, and I've been in bed with the flu ever since. I've been doing everything I can to be able to sing tonight, but I'm leaving the doctor now and I'm devastated that it's just not possible." He went on to say, "Until very recently, I haven't had to postpone a show due to illness in the 12 years I've been touring. I'm so sorry to do it, and if there was any way I could do the show, I would. I'm sorry this news is coming so close to showtime, but it was my sincerest hope to be able to play for you tonight. I know several of you have planned trips to LA to see the show, and it means the absolute world to me." Harry only returned to the stage this week and was clearly ready to have a comeback after taking so much time off to rest and recover. So the fact that he might have been seriously injured because of crappy fan behavior is beyond upsetting. Hopefully his eye turns out alright and he can get back to his tour. What was the real reason that Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles broke up? The internet was shocked when news came out that they are either taking a break from their relationship after nearly 2 years together or splitting up indefinitely. Just yesterday, Olivia was spotted browsing at a flea market in LA looking upset while being hugged by her friends. So why did they break up? Well, like so many celebrities before them, apparently Harry and Olivia were being pulled apart not by anything scandalous, but by major scheduling conflicts. According to Page 6, the singer is preparing to kick off the South American leg of his tour, and Olivia has firm plans of her own to head to London, where she will be busy filming a documentary and spending time with her 2 kids, Otis and Daisy. As a result, Olivia and Harry decided not to wait for distance to officially drive them apart and preemptively pause their romance. One source close to the couple said, "They're on a break. It's impossible to have a relationship when he's in every continent next year and Olivia has her job and her kids. This is the right thing for both of them." Another source told People, "He's still touring and is going abroad. She's focusing on her kids and her work in LA. It's a very amicable decision. They're still very close friends. Right now they have different priorities that are keeping them apart." To a lot of people, the news does come as a bit of a shock because just last week on November the 15th, Olivia brought her kids to Harry's concert in LA where they were all spotted dancing and singing along. And just last month, she was seen by fans cheering on Harry from the crowd at his Harryween concert in LA on October the 31st. Not to mention that in late September, the two of them seemed to be going strong and were photographed kissing on the streets in New York City. But while it's unclear who allegedly ended the relationship, it has been reported that they had been growing apart after 2 years together, and realistically, we know that their relationship wasn't without its challenges. Over the course of their romance, the couple have had to endure drama surrounding the release of their film Don't Worry Darling, mostly persistent claims that Olivia was feuding with the film's leading actress Florence Pugh. The couple also got a lot of hate while they were together, most of it coming from Harry's fans directly, who didn't like the fact that Olivia was 10 years older than him and directed the movie that he was starring in. There was also a lot of talk about how there was some kind of a power imbalance in their relationship. Most of the criticism was directed at Olivia, because fans felt that she had moved on too quickly after breaking up with her ex-fiance and father of her children, Jason Sudeikis. The former couple called off their 7-year engagement in November last year and had both been back in the dating game ever since. So with all things considered, there's no doubt that the public pressure on them would have been difficult. In fact, Olivia has opened up before about why she keeps details of her love life private. She said, "I think once you crack open the window, you can't be mad when mosquitoes come in." For his part, Harry told Rolling Stone in August, "I've never talked about my life away from work publicly, and found that it's benefited me positively. There's always going to be a version of a narrative, and I think I just decided I wasn't going to spend the time trying to correct it or redirect it in some way." But with or without the public scrutiny, Olivia's former nanny, Erica Gennaro, believes that the couple was bound to break up sooner or later. In an explosive interview with the Daily Mail, she claims that the actress has been dumped by Harry and said, "That's what happens when the ugly finally comes out. I am beyond ecstatic that Harry dropped her like a hot potato." But this isn't even the first time that their former nanny has come out exposing them. In October, Erica claimed that Jason lay in front of Olivia's car after hearing that she was going to see Harry. She also said that Harry had a fling with his co-star Florence Pugh before ultimately settling down with Olivia, and that the affair had caused a fallout between the two actresses. Although we might need to take everything that she said with a grain of salt, considering that the former couple have put out a joint statement against her, saying, "As parents, it is incredibly upsetting to learn that a former nanny of our two young children would choose to make such false and scurrilous accusations about us publicly. We will continue to focus on raising and protecting our children with a sincere hope that she will now choose to leave our family alone." So it's likely she might be trying to expose them out of spite, and maybe she's nothing more than a disgruntled employee. Still, if Olivia and Harry have been naturally growing apart for quite some time now, or they've broken up due to scheduling conflicts, it's likely that there's no bad blood between them, and they'll be able to remain friends, which is honestly the best possible outcome. First up, another Amber Heard video has resurfaced online recently, and this one features Raven-Symoné. She ran into her at a gas station while she was charging her Tesla, and she posted a clip of the moment on her YouTube channel. Raven was sitting with her wife Miranda in the car, and the two of them got excited when they spotted Amber right next to them. Raven said, "We are charging our Tesla right now, and I swear to God, the girl next to us right now is Amber Heard and her lesbian lover." Raven then turned around and asked her wife if she should get out of the car and greet her. She referenced a moment in the 2022 defamation trial and said, "Oh my God, say hi to Amber, cut my finger off and see if she'll claim it." The joke was about the explosive fight in Australia in 2015 that left Johnny Depp missing part of his middle finger. He had accused his ex-wife of hurling a bottle of vodka at him that shattered his hand. Raven then commented on the woman that Amber was with and said, "Oh my God, her girlfriend looks like Johnny Depp." At this point, the two of them are still in the car and they see that Amber starts screaming and crying on the phone, but they only laugh about it, and Raven says, "Is that a Chanel purse? No, it's YSL. Nice purse, Amber." The video then cuts out as Miranda turns around and tells the camera that she dared her wife to take a picture with Amber, but that led her to getting locked out of her own Tesla. Apparently, when the actress went back to her car, it was locked with her phone inside, her purse inside, and her jacket. But did Raven stick around and help her out? Surprisingly, no, they just laughed about it. The former View host then turned to the camera and said, "Amber, I am so sorry you got locked out of your car, but my picture is amazing." She pointed to a selfie of the two of them at the top of the screen. The funniest part about this was that Amber apparently had no idea who Raven was when she asked to take a photo with her. So far, the video has around 5 million views on YouTube and counting, not to mention the fact that the comments are hilarious. One person wrote, "Not someone with a 5-minute career not knowing an OG with decades-long career. This was also hilarious." And getting the selfie was just a savage receipt. But this wasn't even the first time that Raven and Miranda poked fun at the actress. During the trial, the two of them made it abundantly clear that they supported Johnny Depp by posting parodies of the court proceedings. They posted numerous reenactments of the trial, including one about Amber's tendency to face the jury while offering up non-answers. In one of the TikTok videos, Raven plays the role of Johnny's attorney, and she pulls up a photo from evidence featuring Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. She says, "3 people have already testified that this is a picture of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. Are you saying that they're lying, Miss Heard?" In response, Miranda channels Amber when she says, "I can't answer that question without the metadata. If you show me the metadata, I might be able to tell you when that photo was taken." But all jokes aside, there have been lots of videos of the actress resurfacing recently, like the one on TikTok when a user by the name of Bernardo Triana shared a video dancing with her. Amber looked really happy with her signature red lipstick as she swayed her hips to the music. The video quickly went viral and was viewed over 11 million times in less than 48 hours. It was taken in Guatemala and she was dancing with a young member of the film crew from the movie In the Fire. The movie is currently in post-production with no release date listed on IMDb. But if you're wondering what she's been doing in the 8 months since the trial ended, Amber is reportedly living in Mallorca, Spain, with her daughter and her rumored partner Bianca Butti. So clearly she's trying to live a more low-key life and put the events of last year behind her. Next up, why is Harry Styles catching a lot of heat all of a sudden? Well, it has something to do with what he said at the Grammys. Over the weekend, he won Album of the Year on his album called Harry's House, which was one of the 3 awards that he took home on that night. When he came up to the stage to accept his prize, he said, "I've been so inspired by every artist in this category with me, and at a lot of different times in my life. I listen to everyone in this category when I'm alone. I think on nights like tonight, it's obvious it's so important for us to remember that there's no such thing as best in music. I don't think any of us sit in the studio making decisions based on what is going to get us one of these. This is really kind. I'm so grateful. grateful. This doesn't happen to people like me very often, and this is so nice. Thank you very much. So which part of that speech rubbed viewers the wrong way? Can you guess? Well, it was the part where he said receiving an award doesn't often happen for people like him. And while it's not exactly clear what he meant by saying people like me, a lot of fans became critical of those comments. The speech sparked a big reaction online along with a series of viral tweets. One user wrote, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often. You are literally a white man." In response, another person wrote, "Like you're British and white. This happens to you all the time." Another user tweeted, "5 women in the Album of the Year category, 3 of them women of color, and the white cis male winner gets up and says, 'This doesn't happen to people like me very often.'" Someone else wrote, "Harry Styles says this doesn't happen to people like me very often. And I gotta be honest, I can't think of a type of people this happens for more." Although there were also those who defended his choice of words and argued that he was actually referring to the struggles that he went through during his childhood. Someone said, "Not everything is related to race. He was literally referring to growing up in a small town where most people don't get to live the life that he's got now. He was just being grateful." Harry's win came as a surprise to some people because both Beyonce and Bad Bunny were considered top contenders going into the night, not to mention Adele, who was also up for a possible repeat win. Now there's no doubt that his third studio album Harry's House was successful. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts and included his hit song As It Was, which stayed at #1 on the charts for 15 consecutive weeks. But a lot of the backlash surrounding his comments were actually about the fact that the Grammys have long been criticized for excluding people of color. In 2020, The Weeknd slammed the awards ceremony and called it corrupt after he received 0 nominations for his song Blinding Lights, despite the fact that it was clearly the year's biggest hit single. He told Variety, "The trust has been broken for so long between the Grammys organization and artists that it would be unwise to raise a victory flag. I remain uninterested in being a part of the Grammys, especially with their own admission of corruption for all these decades. I will not be submitting in the future." Since then, a growing number of prominent artists have declined to submit their work for consideration. Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak told Rolling Stone last year, "We would like to gracefully, humbly, and most importantly sexually bow out of submitting our album this year." Then in 2022, Drake also withdrew his name from the awards after the nominations were announced, despite having 4 nods as a featured artist or writer this time around. He claimed that the disconnect between the Grammy Awards and popular music was making the accolade insignificant. He said, "I think we should stop allowing ourselves to be shocked every year by the disconnect between impactful music and these awards, and just accept that what was once the highest form of recognition may no longer matter to the artists that exist now and the ones that come after." Drake also called out the Academy's questionable track record with hip-hop and artists of color, all during his acceptance speech in 2019. He said, "You've already won if you have people singing your songs word for word, if you're a hero in your own hometown. Look, if there's people who have regular jobs who are coming out in the rain, in the snow, spending their hard-earned money to buy tickets to come to your shows, you don't need this right here. I promise you, you already won." But obviously the Academy was not too happy with what he had to say, and they quickly decided to cut to commercial before he even finished speaking. But obviously some people believe that we should stop putting the Grammys on such a pedestal and viewing it as the highest musical accolade that artists can achieve. But Harry Styles was not the only artist to spark controversy during this year's Grammys. Sam Smith and Kim Petras delivered a satanic-themed performance, and it had a lot of conservative commentators in a panic. The two singers did a rendition of their hit song Unholy, and they really went all out with it. Sam started the song in red leather with a top hat and red devil horns, while being surrounded by female dancers in red robes that seemed like something out of The Ring. Kim was dancing in a cage, of course, and she was getting flanked by some dominatrices wearing satanic headgear. There were massive flames heating up the stage to evoke the image of hell. But what really got people angry was the fact that the performance was sponsored by Pfizer. After the ceremony, conservatives on Twitter reacted with horror because they believed it was an actual tribute to Satan. Senator Ted Cruz weighed in on the performance and said, "This is evil. Pfizer is taking the whole truth in advertising pretty literally." Newsmax's Benny Johnson said, "The Grammys have gone full-on Satan worship right on Prime TV." Ben Shapiro also voiced his opinion and tweeted, "The Grammys' annual trolling of traditionally moral people continued this year with a full-on satanic performance from 2 white men, Sam Smith and Kim Petras." Human Events editor Ben Q also believed that the whole thing was intended to pay tribute to the Lord of Darkness. He wrote, "I know we on the right probably use the word satanic too often, but this performance from Sam Smith is literally a tribute to Satan. Definitely not a spiritual war." But apart from the obvious, there could have been another reason for that theme as well. When asked about their rendition backstage, Kim Petras said that it was inspired by not feeling accepted by religion. She said, "I think a lot of people honestly have kind of labeled what I stand for and what Sam stands for as religiously not cool. And I personally grew up wondering about religion and wanting to be a part of it, but slowly realizing it didn't didn't want me to be a part of it. She went on to say that the song was about the fact that she was not able to choose religion and live the way that people wanted her to live. She explained that as a trans person, she doesn't feel like she is wanted in religion. This is something that she also spoke about during her acceptance speech when she and Sam won the Grammys for Best Pop Group Performance earlier in the evening. She said, "Sam graciously wanted me to accept this award because I'm the first transgender woman to win this award. I just want to thank all of the incredible transgender legends before me who kicked these doors open before me so I could be here tonight." As two queer musicians, the two of them have set a historical precedent for the LGBTQ community after reaching #1 on the Hot 100 chart for their collaboration. But ever since they came out as non-binary in 2019, Sam Smith has faced an intense amount of backlash, especially with the release of their new music video I'm Not Here to Make Friends. The video pushed a lot of boundaries by celebrating different body types, genders, and sexuality, but the pushback largely targeted Sam for being too sexual. The video starts with them wearing an enormous pink coat, arriving at a remote castle by helicopter. Once inside, dancers and drag queens surround them for a series of routines. One scene in particular that upset a lot of people shows Sam in a corset and nipple tassels, posing suggestively while being showered with jets of water. When the video released, it took YouTube by storm, and it flew to the top of the trending chart. It wasn't long before Sam was trending on Twitter too, with a lot of posts calling the video vulgar and saying that it was inappropriate for younger viewers. YouTube's restricted mode then actually blocked the video. Sadly, a lot of negative comments seemed to body shame the singer, and they came across as anti-LGBTQ. They accused Sam of being vile, evil, and wearing their sexuality like a costume and shoving it in everyone's face. There was also some pretty crazy memes created of them poking fun at their changing gender identity, one that showed the change in their appearance from the years 2014 to 2023. But it didn't take long for their fans to fight back. Many people pointed out that the risky outfits are normal in modern music videos, and the only reason Sam was being singled out was because of fat phobia and queer phobia. Writer Mae Murray summed it up in a tweet saying, "If Sam were thin, cis, and straight, they wouldn't be ridiculed for how they present and dress. If Harry Styles wore the same fits on a magazine cover, y'all would be screaming, 'Yes, Queen.'" Did you guys hear what Matt Healy just said about Harry Styles? The 1975 singer caused a firestorm on Twitter after he went on the Adam Friedland Show podcast and addressed the discourse surrounding queerbaiting, which is something that's often used in TV and films that try to appeal to an LGBTQ audience by lightly suggesting that a character is gay but never actually confirming it. In the interview, Maddie said, "Did you see that Pink's getting cancelled for looking like a lesbian for her career, and now that's being regarded as queerbaiting? Loads of 18-year-olds are being like, she's done irreparable damage to the lesbian community." The host then asks him, "Well, why do they let Harry Styles get away with that?" And in response, Maddie says, "He gets a pass, I don't know. I actually don't think the gays really like it. It's young girls that think it's a new thing that are like, oh my god." Adam and his co-host Nick Mullen then made a ton of homophobic remarks, and it was unbelievable. At one point, they suggest that gay men don't care when a straight man pretends to be gay because they get off to it. Shockingly, they also said that Harry had got the N-word pass from the gay community. And what did Maddie say to all of this? Well, he just half-heartedly attempted to push back and said, maybe it's not all gay guys, but a lot of them. And just like that, the conversation moved on. He didn't really say anything in opposition to the two other hosts. In fact, his non-response really said it all. Later on in the interview, the three men joked about a woman's menstruation cycle and made impressions of Chinese accents. It was nothing short of a disaster. Clips of the podcast have since gone viral, and the comments have caused an uproar online. Even fans of the 1975 said they were disappointed by the entire conversation and Maddie's involvement. One user tweeted, "Maddie Healy, how are you getting on stage every night and mocking toxic masculinity, and then going on a podcast and undoing the whole thing by being wildly ignorant, misogynistic, homophobic, racist, and everything else under the sun. Disgraceful behavior, actually." Another person wrote, "Maddie Healy, practice what you preach challenge. Maybe don't do performance art commenting on toxic masculinity if you're only going to turn around and feed right into it. And the sooner you all realize you can save your breath when it comes to Maddie Healy, because he literally has always been like this, and literally always will be." Many fans also accuse the singer of hypocrisy, considering the fact that he claims to be 100% straight and says that he's not sexually attracted to men, but he still kisses male fans at his concerts. When asked about it, he just said, "Men can be objectively beautiful, but he doesn't want to F them." That's very nice. Let's not forget that in 2019, he made out with a male fan on the stage at a concert in Dubai, where homosexuality is illegal and punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Speaking about that moment, Maddie said that he was threatened with arrest for the act, but he was able to jet off to Japan to continue his world tour. Although he was able to get away unscathed, he was criticized online for endangering the fan that he kissed, not really caring about what ended up happening to them. He later admitted that he felt pretty irresponsible at first, but then he said F that and wanted to be an ally for people who don't have a voice. As for Harry Styles, these accusations of queerbaiting are nothing new. He hasn't labeled his sexuality or gender identity, even though he has only ever publicly been in relationships with women. When he graced the cover of Vogue in 2020 wearing a dress, Billy Porter spoke out against him. In an interview with the Sunday Times, the actor slammed Harry's gender expression as performative. He said, "He doesn't care. He's just doing it because it's the thing to do. This is politics for me. This is my life. I had to fight my entire life to get to the place where I could wear a dress to the Oscars. All he has to do is be white and straight." Harry responded to the criticism in his own interview. He said, "Sometimes people say you've only been with women, and I don't think I've publicly been with anyone. If someone takes a picture of you with someone, it doesn't mean you're choosing to have a public relationship." He went on to say, "Am I sprinkling in nuggets of sexual ambiguity to try and be more interesting? No. In terms of how I want to dress and what the album sleeves are gonna be, I tend to make decisions in terms of collaborators I want to work with. I want things to look a certain way, not because it makes me look gay or it makes me look straight or it makes me look bisexual, but because I think it looks cool." And maybe that's all the reason that he needs. And now, if you were an actor, what would you do if your co-star refused to kiss you? That's what happened between Jonah Hill and Lauren London in their new movie. That's right, the two actors allegedly did not seal their movie marriage with a kiss in Netflix's movie You People, so they had to make it happen with CGI. How do we know this? Well, their fellow co-star Andrew Schultz opened up about the moment on a podcast with Charlemagne the God. At first he was nervous and said, "I don't even know if I should share this yet." Then he said, "But in the final scene they don't even kiss. It's CGI." The host responds by saying, "Get the F out of here." The two of them start talking about his experience filming the new Jonah Hill comedy, and Andrew lets it slip that there was a real issue when it came to the kissing scene. He said, "I'm watching the wedding and I see them going for the kiss and their faces stopped like this far. And I'm like, I wonder how they're gonna play that in the movie. Oh, they're probably just gonna cut right there. But in the movie, you can see their faces come close and then you can see their faces morphed a little bit." Sure enough, fans took to Twitter to talk about it and someone posted a close-up shot of the actors' faces, which actually shows a dark shadow forming on Lauren's lower chin that appears to be computer generated. So the romantic kiss at the end of the movie was actually fake. From that moment on, everyone was throwing in their opinion about why the two leads did not actually touch. Lauren London's fans claimed that she did not want to kiss Jonah Hill out of respect for her partner Nipsey Hussle. It was March of 2019 in an incident involving firearms. And this is likely the case because the movie does honor him in a lot of discreet ways, like using his music throughout the film and a shot of the street where his clothing store is located. One fan tweeted, "Everyone wants to hate on Lauren London for not kissing Jonah Hill, but when you find the one and they're gone, you'd never want to kiss someone else again." Another person wrote, "Lauren London didn't want to kiss Jonah Hill in You People, and I don't blame her. Nipsey Hussle's beard looks softer compared to Jonah's." But for all the people coming to her defense, there were also those who questioned why she would even accept the role as Jonah's love interest if she wasn't interested in staying true to the script. Someone tweeted, "All due respect to Lauren London, but if she signed up for a rom-com refusing to kiss her co-star, maybe you need a different actress or actor." And like literally, what was the point of Lauren London accepting a role in a rom-com but refusing to kiss your castmate? CGI kissing is crazy. In response to the Nipsey Hussle theory, someone pointed to another movie that Lauren did which was filmed 5 months after his death. The 2021 film is called Without Remorse, and sure enough, one scene in the film shows her kissing Michael B. Jordan. So of course some people jumped to the conclusion that she simply did not want to follow the script with Jonah Hill because she wasn't attracted to him. It doesn't really help that Lauren herself has admitted that she worried that they wouldn't make a believable couple. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar, she said that she was initially reluctant to play the role because she worried about whether Ezra and Amira's bond would feel genuine. She said, "I thought, why would these two people really like each other? We have to showcase a real connection. They're from two totally different worlds, and if you see them, you would never think that they would meet or hang out, whatever the case is." Her concerns are understandable, but that's actually the premise of the entire movie. It's about an unlikely romance between an interracial and interfaith couple, dealing with their family's complicated reactions to their relationship. The film was initially promising, as fans were really excited to see Jonah in a rom-com, and it's not often that he gets to play a romantic lead. It stars plenty of Hollywood heavyweights like Eddie Murphy, Nia Long, and Julia Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but unfortunately it was met with quite a bit of criticism upon its release, and it didn't really seem to live up to the hype. A lot of viewers have said that the movie tries to be too political, and that ends up sacrificing the humor. And of course, to everyone's disappointment, you can't deny that there is a real lack of chemistry between the two romantic leads, to the point where it's actually not that surprising that their kiss had to be done with CGI. And now here's some of the craziest news ever. Is it possible that Adidas regrets cutting ties with Kanye West? Because apparently they're on the verge of bankruptcy. The company released a statement yesterday admitting that they're expected to lose $1.3 billion in revenue this year because they're unable to sell Kanye's Yeezy clothing and shoes. In a statement, Adidas said its financial guidance for 2023 accounts for the significant adverse impact from not selling the existing stock. So if they can't repurpose any of the remaining Yeezy clothing, they said that could cost them $534 million in operating profit this year. Shortly after they cut ties with the rapper, the company said they would try to sell the clothing and just strip it of the Yeezy name and branding. They said selling the sneakers under their own branding would save them about $300 million in royalty payments and marketing fees. But this turned out to be a major fail. The CEO released a statement saying, "The numbers speak for themselves. We're currently not performing the way we should. We need to put the pieces back together again, but I am convinced that over time, we will make Adidas shine again." So at the moment, the company is scrambling to work out what they're going to do with all that inventory, but they've also suffered financially from their partnership with Beyonce's activewear brand Ivy Park. Since early 2020, the Ivy Park and Adidas line has launched at least a dozen footwear, apparel, and accessories that they've tried to promote to Beyonce's fan base. But clearly that didn't work either, because revenue from the line fell more than 50% last year. What's really crazy is that Adidas projected that the Ivy Park business would bring in $250 million in 2022, but it only brought in $40 million in sales. So it's entirely possible that cutting ties with Kanye is going to lead them down a path of financial ruin, even though they really had no choice in the matter. The German sports brand says that it does not tolerate anti-Semitism and called the rapper's remarks unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous. At the time, Adidas said that ending their partnership with him would mean taking a short-term hit of around $240 million, but now we know it's going to be so much more than that. They ended production of items under the Yeezy brand and stopped all payments to Kanye. It was probably a difficult call to make for them, considering that in 2020, the partnership brought in nearly $1.7 billion in revenue. At the time, pressure to cut ties with him was really mounting against them, as several other brands had already dropped him. At one point, there was even a boycott Adidas hashtag trending on social media, simply because they took so long to respond to the scandal. It certainly didn't help when Kanye went on Drink Champs podcast and said, "I can literally say anti-Semitic things, and Adidas can't drop me. Now what?" So in the end, it wasn't a huge surprise that the brand let him go, because after that, his comments only got worse. By the time Kanye professed his admiration for a certain German leader, there wasn't a company that was willing to work with him. While Adidas might have made the only sensible decision, they probably didn't realize that they would be facing bankruptcy as a result. Hey guys, in this video, we're going to talk about Chris Pine spilling the truth about Harry Styles. So Chris Pine has now addressed the allegations that he got spat on by Harry Styles. The actor sat down for an interview with Esquire, where he addressed the viral conspiracy theory that the singer spat on him at the screening of Don't Worry Darling. He said, "Harry did not spit on me. Harry's a very kind guy. I'm flying back from Venice and I'm sleeping, having a great time on the plane." At this point, he says that his publicist woke him up and said, "We have to craft a message about what happened in Venice." When Chris was clearly confused, she explained the viral story that was going around. He went on to say, "I had no idea what happened. She showed me the thing and it does look indeed like Harry spitting on me. He didn't spit on me." Apparently, Harry leaned down and whispered something to him along the lines of, "It's just words, isn't it?" According to Chris, it was an inside joke between the two of them about being exhausted, jet-lagged, and trying to answer all the questions. He said, "Sometimes when you're doing all these press things, your brain goes befuddled and you start speaking gibberish. And we had a joke, 'It's just words, man,' which is actually a very reasonable explanation for how the whole thing went down." Fans went crazy when footage showed Harry Styles approaching Chris to take a seat next to him during the screening of the movie. Then the singer made a subtle motion with his mouth, and people thought that it looked like him spitting. To make matters worse, Chris reacts by looking down at his lap and shaking his head. In the viral clip, it really does seem like something landed on his lap. The theory then made the rounds on social media, and for a time it seemed like everyone was talking about it. It got so bad that both Harry and Olivia separately addressed the rumors. Later on in his Esquire interview, Chris explained that if there was drama on the set of the movie, then he wasn't aware of it. He said, "If there was drama, there was drama. I absolutely didn't know about it, nor really would I have cared. If I feel badly, it's because the vitriol that the movie got was absolutely out of proportion with what was on screen." The actor talked about the premiere at the Venice Film Festival and said that things got swept up and turned into something ridiculous. He also joked about the memes that went around of him zoning out mid-interview. Apparently, a lot of the questions were just not that interesting, so he couldn't really help but zone out and start looking at the ceiling. Fans thought it was hilarious that Chris was looking bored during several key moments of the press tour. From those few moments, there were pictures and videos of him disassociating which went viral online. This happened in press junket interviews, panels, and even on the red carpet. One of the best videos shows Harry saying, "My favorite thing about the movie is that it feels like a movie," while the camera zooms in on Chris Pine's lifeless eyes, with the caption, "Chris Pine rethinking his entire life decisions that led him to this point," and you can almost see the screams catching in his throat. Another viral meme shows 4 pictures of him from the press conference panel where he gazes at the ceiling, studies the cap on his water bottle, and his eyeballs roll fully to the back of his head. The internet started jumping to all kinds of conclusions, with some saying that he hated the cast so much that he was actively willing his consciousness to leave its current state. But other members of the cast have also had to hit back at the feud rumors as well. Harry joked about the Spitgate conspiracy theory during his concert at Madison Square Gardens, when he said, "Wonderful to be back in New York. I just popped by very quickly to Venice to spit on Chris Pine." During an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in late September, Olivia Wilde addressed that very same rumor. She said, "Spitgate, which you might have heard about, is a perfect example of people who will look for drama anywhere they can. Harry did not spit on Chris Pine." So at least now we can say that we know the truth about what really happened in that moment. Now let's talk about all the drama on the set of The Idol. For the past several months, HBO has been relentlessly hyping up the new series that's created by The Weeknd and stars Lily Rose Depp. But on Wednesday, Rolling Stone published an explosive report which claimed that production of the series has become wildly, disgustingly off the rails and turned into an X-rated torture movie. 13 anonymous sources from production have described the chaotic and toxic set. The Idol was originally set to be directed by Amy Seimetz, but in April she was fired. The Weeknd felt that the series was leaning too much into the female perspective, with more focus on Lily's character than his own. In the show, he plays a seedy self-help guru and cult leader who becomes romantically involved with a young troubled pop star. With Amy kicked out, The Weeknd brought in Sam Levinson from Euphoria as the new director, and together they decided to make the show more disturbingly graphic and physically violent than it was ever seen before. They reportedly added in an extreme amount of degrading scenes for Lily's character. According to sources from production, The Idol was supposed to be about a starlet falling victim to a predatory industry figure and fighting to reclaim her own agency. But the scripts that Sam wrote now feature such explicit and disturbing content that most crew members have found offensive and alarming. One specific scene involves The Weeknd doing something to Lily Rose with an egg, which is so disgusting it cannot even be explained. But that was only cut out of the script because the filmmakers couldn't logistically make that scene happen without cracking the egg. When crew members read this, they were understandably horrified. One of them was quoted saying, "It was like a fantasy that any toxic man would have in the show, and then the woman comes back for more because it makes her music better." Another criticism was that the series was constantly being reshot and rewritten in real time. Amy had already completed 80% of the filming, and despite the fact that the $75 million project was nearly finished, they chose to scrap the whole thing. Because of this, sources claim that shooting constantly went behind schedule and scripts finished late. And how did The Weeknd respond to the controversy? Well, in the worst way possible. He failed to address any of the concerns in the report and simply tweeted, "Rolling Stone, did we upset you?" But his smug response drew swift backlash from critics. Culture writer Jordan Crucciolio wrote, "This is a very glib way to respond to corroborated accounts of an unprofessional and possibly compromising work environment where the crew says they're being mistreated, on a show where you're the co-creator, star, and one of the few credited writers, and probably also an executive producer. Gross." Another user wrote, "Everyone rightfully getting on Sam Levinson, but we have to also put the blame on The Weeknd for making room for him to do this. None of this would have happened if Abel didn't fire the female director because he didn't like the fact that the show focused only on the female perspective." The funniest part about all of this is that there's already people criticizing the acting before they've actually seen it. Someone tweeted, "Y'all were gonna watch a TV show starring Lily Rose Depp and The Weeknd? Who's gonna do the acting?" Lily Rose was probably feeling the pressure as well because she tried to jump in and defend the creators. She said, "Sam is, for so many reasons, the best director I have ever worked with. Never have I felt felt more supported or respected in a creative space. My input and opinions were more valued. The show does have an impressive cast though, with names like Dan Levy and the late actor Anne Heche in her final role. There are also other artists like Troye Sivan, Moses Sumney, and Jennie Kim from Blackpink, even though she apparently only has 2 to 3 lines per episode. The Idol is expected to come out sometime in 2023, but right now it's still unclear when it will actually debut. Moving on, have you seen the horrible tweets about Emilia Clarke? Last week, the Game of Thrones actress posted a makeup-free, filter-free selfie on Instagram, which showed her grinning at the camera. She captioned the photo, "Mom got me a mug. I felt it was important to share this newfound wisdom. Use it and reap the rewards." One of the hashtags she used said, "My cold just got its medicine," which makes it seem like she's been sick recently. Although lots of Emilia's followers were quick to send her their love and messages of support, sadly the photo ended up on the wrong side of the internet. A blatantly misogynistic gamer named John Miller shared a screenshot of the post on Twitter, and he wrote, "LMAO, wow, Daenerys Targaryen didn't just hit a wall, she flew into it full speed on a dragon." That remark was him making fun of the fact that she's obviously aged since she first appeared on Game of Thrones, which was literally 12 years ago when she was just 24. That awful tweet went viral and several other people commented in agreement. Someone wrote, "With that hairline, I understand why HBO used a wig." Another person referenced the message on her mug and said, "Only people who use mugs like this are those who are in fact not doing effing great in any way whatsoever." But for all the nastiness attacking Emilia's appearance, there were also thousands of comments calling out John Miller, and it wasn't long before it led to a wider conversation about the way society views women as they age. One user tweeted, "Emilia Clarke was beautiful when she was 22. She's still an extremely beautiful woman here. She's just aged, which hasn't made her any less beautiful. I fail to see the problem with this picture." Another person wrote, "Imagine dunking on a woman because she looked more perfect when she was younger, in movie quality lighting, makeup and camera angles." Some people also pointed to the fact that the increased use of filters and plastic surgery has really warped everyone's perception of aging, which is true, but a lot of these comments actually miss the bigger picture. Emilia revealed that while she was filming Game of Thrones, she suffered 2 life-threatening brain aneurysms. The first was in 2011 and the second was 2 years later. This made a large amount of her brain unusable, and after 2 surgeries, she said that quite a bit is missing. She went on BBC TV and said, "It's remarkable that I'm able to speak, sometimes articulately, and live my life completely normally with absolutely no repercussions. But after the surgery, both operations required long recovery periods, where she said that she couldn't remember her own name and had panic attacks." Emilia said, "In my worst moments, I wanted to pull the plug. I asked the medical staff to let me die. Thankfully, she was able to make a full recovery and she's gotten back her passion for life since. These days, she's rarely seen without a huge smile on her face and is known for her infectious optimism." So after surviving all of that, it's really disheartening to see that there are still people trying to insult her for something as surface level as her appearance. But she's not alone. Another celebrity that's been dealing with constant body shaming at the moment is Selena Gomez. She appeared at this year's Golden Globes wearing a strapless Valentino gown with big purple sleeves and a deep off-the-shoulder neckline. But it wasn't long before haters on social media labeled her as dumpy, criticized her weight, and asked her whether or not she is pregnant. To make matters worse, a lot of the comments were very backhanded, like calling her brave just for posing on the red carpet, and the body shaming has only gotten more intense since then. In response, Selena decided to go live on TikTok to address the comments that she's read about her weight gain. She started off by saying when she's on her lupus medication, she tends to hold a lot of water weight. She said, "My medications are important, and I believe they are what helps me." She then has to pause and starts tearing up. She says, "I'm not a model and I never will be." In a previous interview, she talked about the changes in her body and said, "I have lupus and deal with kidney issues and high blood pressure, so I deal with a lot of health issues. For me, that's when I really started noticing more of the body image stuff. It's the medication I have to take for the rest of my life. It depends on the month, to be honest. I really started noticing when people started attacking me for that. But it's sad that she even feels a need to defend her appearance in the first place. Luckily, she seems like she's in a really good place with her overall health and well-being at the moment." How do you feel about the news that Selena Gomez and Zayn Malik are officially dating? They were recently seen holding hands and kissing while they were on a date in New York City. Fans are going absolutely crazy at the news because they've been wanting them to get together for more than 10 years. But there is still one burning question. How does Gigi feel about it all? After all, it makes sense that she would feel some type of way about one of her friends getting together with her ex and the father of her child. If you didn't know, the two of them dated on and off for about 7 years before they finally split up in 2021, and they share a 2-year-old daughter together named Kai. So their relationship was never just a fling. But thankfully, it seems like Gigi might actually be really chill about the whole thing. In response to the news, an inside source has now come out and spoken to Us Weekly. They said, Gigi has no problem whatsoever with Zayn dating, as long as he is happy and stable and continues to be a good co-parent to Kai. She's fine with whoever he goes out with. The source went on to say that Gigi moved on from Zayn and is having fun while she's dating right now. So that is really good news. It sounds like she's more than happy for the two of them to get together. The idea of them dating was first brought to everyone's attention when Zayn followed Selena on Instagram. This might not seem like a really big deal, but it was if you look at the context. He showed his support for her in the middle of the drama between her and Hailey Bieber. This was during a time when a lot of celebrities were picking sides in the alleged feud. But the fact that he chose to follow her was really interesting because he only followed 18 people on the platform. She followed him back just days later, and that's what led people to believe there could be some kind of a romance forming. What's really funny is that his mom followed her too, so obviously she was keeping up with all the drama and chose to be Team Selena. But the idea of them dating really became solidified when a TikToker by the name of Clarissa Garcia confirmed it. She posted screenshots of messages that her friend sent her. She explained that her friend works as a hostess in a New York City restaurant, and she saw Zayn and Selena walk into her restaurant hand in hand making out, and she had to sit them at a table. So that's the kind of PDA that lets everyone know that they are definitely together. Of course, this is something a lot of fans have been hoping for. It's really bittersweet because we know that Selena has always had a bit of a crush on Zayn. Back in the 2010s, she actually admitted that if he asked her out, she would have accepted. Not only that, but when she was asked which member of One Direction she would most want to kiss, you can guess who she said. So it really seems like their relationship has been a long time coming. Like I said, fans are going absolutely crazy over the news. They're even getting excited over the prospect of Selena and Zayn getting married, which would make her the stepmom to little Kai. One tweet said, "Now imagine being Kai. Her daddy is Zayn Malik, her mommy is Gigi Hadid, and soon-to-be stepmom is Selena Gomez. What a life." Earlier this month, Gigi opened up about co-parenting during an interview with the Sunday Times. She explained that she's always kept her daughter's happiness at the forefront of her mind. She said, "You have a long life alongside this person. The fact that she can be with both parents makes me very happy. When it comes to her busy work schedule, Gigi tries to schedule her modeling jobs and other business trips when Kai is with her dad. So they obviously have a very solid plan worked out. Although it's way too early to say where a possible stepmom would fit into that equation, they'll probably just cross that bridge when they get to it. Their family dynamic seems to be a lot more stable these days, but it wasn't always like that. Part of the reason they broke up is because Zayn got into a vicious fight with Gigi's mother, which was a lot worse than people realized. They got into a physical altercation in September of 2021 when he reportedly struck her and pushed her into a dresser. He then yelled obscenities at her and said, "Stay away from my effing daughter." Apparently, he even called up Gigi and told her to strap on some balls and defend him against Yolanda. As a result of that incident, Zayn was charged with 4 counts of harassment, for which he pleaded no contest. He was then placed on a 90-day probation for each count for a total of 360 days. He also had to complete an anger management class and a domestic violence program, as well as having no contact with Gigi's mother. Eventually, Zayn broke his silence and claimed that the argument started when Yolanda showed up to his house uninvited. Clearly, they were not on good terms at the time, and that tension escalated when she just came over unannounced. For her part, Gigi decided not to comment on the controversy, probably because she just didn't want to have to pick sides. She's clearly just focusing on her daughter right now, and she's mostly stayed under the radar since she split up with Zayn. But like a lot of other celebrities, she was recently dragged into the ongoing drama between Selena and Hailey. As a matter of fact, fans think that she was directly involved in something called Dubai-gate. The theory is about the trip that Selena took with Gigi and Kendall back in 2014. On the outside, it seemed like they were just going over there to celebrate the new year, but some people believe that it was all planned with bad intentions. The theory is that Gigi and Kendall took Selena to Dubai that year just so that Hailey could spend time with Justin. At that point, Selena and Justin were on a break, but they weren't completely split up. The idea is that Gigi and Kendall were both in on this plan to try and give Hailey a leg up. Now, this would normally be just another crazy internet theory, except for the fact that Kylie Jenner herself actually favorited the video on TikTok. So now people think it's totally legit, and that the girls had some kind of secret plan to keep Selena away from Justin. Sadly, this would make a certain kind of sense because we know that Hailey has always been very close with Gigi and Kendall. These kinds of theories have been circulating the internet non-stop because people just cannot get enough of all the chaos going on right now. Both women have now come out calling for the hatred to come to an end. Selena posted a message to her Instagram story that said, "Hailey Bieber reached out to me and let me know that she has been receiving death threats and such hateful negativity. This isn't what I signed up for. No one should have to experience hate or bullying. I've always advocated for kindness and really want this to all stop. Healy then posted her own statement thanking Selena for speaking out. She wrote, "The last few weeks have been really hard for everyone involved, and millions of people are seeing so much hate around this, which is extremely harmful. While social media is an incredible way to connect and build community, moments like this only create extreme division instead of bringing people together. Things can always get taken out of context or construed differently than they were intended. We all need to be more thoughtful about what we post and what we say, including myself." She signed off the note by saying, "In the end, I believe love will always be bigger than hate and negativity, and there is always an opportunity to meet each other with more empathy and compassion." So it seems like the hatred was getting to a point where Healy decided to reach out to Selena to try and get her to stop it. Of course, in the middle of all of this, you do have to wonder, where on earth is Justin Bieber? It doesn't really make much sense that Selena is the only one who has to release a statement trying to help Healy. Justin has been insanely silent over the last couple of weeks, and now he's being called out for it. One viral tweet said, "Selena Gomez really defended Hailey Bieber again before her own husband did. Now that's embarrassing." Another person said, "Selena has defended that girl publicly more times than her own husband, and this is like the third time Selena has defended her, and yet people will still say she wants drama." Mind you, Justin has not once spoken up, but there are also people criticizing Selena for supposedly backtracking. She recently made a TikTok urging her followers to be kinder to people online. She said, "Please be kinder and consider others' mental health. My heart has been heavy and I only want good for everyone." But even though she might have had good intentions with that message, a lot of people just didn't see it that way. In response to the post, fans called her a hypocrite and wrote things like, "Oh, now she cares about mental health." Another person said, "It's so easy to come online and tell your fans to be nice after you practically set the world on fire last week." In response to that post, an influencer and Twitch streamer called Michaela called Selena the biggest manipulator and said her fans just eat it up. So really, no matter what she does, there are always going to be those people that just take an issue with her. But let's put all that drama aside for a second, because we have to talk about another surprising relationship that's been blowing everyone's minds. Did you know that Harry Styles was spotted kissing Emily Ratajkowski? Yeah, that's right, the two of them were spotted on the streets of Tokyo this week, making out against a car. The craziest part is that it was all caught on camera. Harry and Emily were seen leaning against a silver van looking totally in love. According to reports, they were also seen dancing next to the van and huddling together under one umbrella while it was raining. So it really sounds like something straight out of a romantic comedy. If you're wondering why the two of them were in Tokyo, it's because Harry was there for work for one of his concerts during Love on Tour. The viral video of them kissing has now blown up the internet and sent Harry's dedicated fan base into a spiral. The video currently has millions of views since it was posted on Saturday night, and the reaction has definitely been interesting. Some people were happy to see Harry and Emily together, and others were making fun of the way he was kissing. Shortly after the news went public, an inside source spoke to People magazine about their hookup. They said, "Harry is seeing someone. He's going to great lengths to keep her identity quiet after the circus surrounding his relationship with Olivia, but his close circles all know about the romance. Though it's early days, things seem to be going well." He went on to confirm that Harry and Emily know each other and they have been friendly for a while. What's really funny is that some fans are saying that Harry manifested his new relationship with Emily. They're pointing to a video that's recently surfaced online, where he actually called her his celebrity crush a few years ago. Now, this is definitely a surprising turn of events, seeing that Harry hasn't been linked to anyone romantically since he split up with Olivia in November. Fans were shocked when the news came out that they were breaking up after nearly 2 years together. So why did they end things? Well, like so many celebrities before them, apparently Harry and Olivia were being pulled apart not by anything scandalous, but by major scheduling conflicts. At the time, he was preparing to kick off the South American leg of his tour, and Olivia had plans to head to London, where she was going to film a documentary. Because of that, the two of them decided to call it quits before they tried to do anything long distance. While it's still unclear who ended the relationship, it was reported that they had been growing apart after 2 years together, and realistically, we know that their romance wasn't without its challenges. For example, they got a lot of hate while they were together, most of it coming from Harry's fans. There was a number of reasons why people didn't like Olivia, but most of it seemed to come down to the fact that they just didn't think that she was a good match for him. As for Emily though, that might be a different story. So far, the reaction to them dating has been pretty positive. The model separated from her husband Sebastian Bear McLeod last September after he allegedly cheated on her. Since then, she's garnered a massive female fan base on social media, mostly because of her podcast with Julia Fox. Emily's also been linked to Pete Davidson and more recently Eric Andre. But as it stands, she might not be looking for anything serious right now, even though we know she's back in the dating game. No one knows for sure whether or not she'll get into a long-term relationship with Harry, but as long as they're both having fun right now, that's really all that matters. First up, if you saw the video of Emily Ratajkowski making out with Harry Styles, you might be wondering if they're going to start dating, but that might not be the case judging from her latest online Q&A session that she did with fans. Emily hinted that she doesn't see a long-term future with Harry and opened up about her post-divorce dating life, which apparently hasn't been going all that well. She said that she recently dated a man who couldn't be bothered finishing her book of essays, My Body, which was almost like her own personal memoir. She said, "I dated a guy for a minute whose name will not be disclosed, who never made it through my own damn book. He got halfway and he was like, it's really good. He kept saying he was a slow reader, but I was also like, okay, are you just not that interested in me?" Emily said that a lot of the time when guys ask her for book recommendations, it's just an empty gesture because they don't actually read anything that she suggests. She also thinks that men are less sophisticated than women when it comes to thinking about relationships. She said, "Men think with their D, and they're just not that advanced." This is what causes her to really question the men that she dates as a single mom, because a lot of them will try to slip into that father role just so that they can sleep with her. Quote, "Like a woman would be like, I don't even know if I can go on a first date with this guy. He has 2 kids. Guys are just not there. So they'll be in love with you and they'll be like, oh crap, she has 2 kids. Guess I'm a stepdad." Some people thought that Emily was talking about Harry Styles here and insinuating that he's the kind of guy who would rush into this relationship without really thinking about what it means to date a single mom. But that might be a little bit of a reach because it seems like Emily was generalizing and isn't really talking about one guy in particular. She does make a good point though in saying that a lot of men don't actually consider the responsibilities of being a step-parent before they decide to start dating someone with kids. Later on in the session, someone asked her if it's okay to raise a baby without the father, and she had a very interesting response. It turns out Emily plans on having a second child even if she has to go it alone. She said, "I think that having a father is important, but I also just want to say I know quite a few women who've done it on their own and they've done incredible jobs and they are fantastic mothers and they have wonderful kids. And I personally have really liked parenting on my own. So I personally wouldn't be afraid of getting pregnant and giving birth as a single woman." Emily is seriously considering freezing her eggs or doing IVF in her late 30s. Although that's what she's decided to do, she still doesn't necessarily recommend the same choice for every single woman. She acknowledges that you don't get time off from your mom duties and it can be a lot of work. This particular Q&A session was really eye-opening because it goes to show you that Emily has a super independent mindset after her divorce, and she doesn't really seem to be too bothered about looking for a potential stepdad in her romantic partners. But that's not to say that she's stopped looking for love. Since the video went viral of her and Harry kissing, the reaction from fans has been overwhelmingly positive. It's still too early to tell, but it seems like most people like the idea of them together. Although there was speculation going around that the whole thing was a PR stunt. Of course, some people would jump to that conclusion because the moment was caught on camera, and it seemed like the two of them didn't care that they were being filmed. They were also said to be dancing together in the rain and sharing one single umbrella, so it was almost too perfect. But you do have to wonder, why on earth would they need any more publicity? As far as we know, they don't have any upcoming projects together, so that doesn't really make any sense. And more importantly, why would Harry want to be seen as such a bad kisser? If the whole thing was staged, you would think it would look a little better. If you can bring yourself to watch the video again, it seems like Emily is trying to bring the technique, but he's intent on doing his own thing. In fact, even some of his fans were straight up grossed out by the kiss. One person tweeted, "Seeing how Harry Styles kisses has given me such an irreversible ick with him. Like, I think this is it. I think I'm finally free." Another person wrote, "I'm going to pretend that video of Harry and Emrata doesn't exist, not because I care about their relationship, but because I refuse to believe Harry Styles kisses like that." To be completely fair, we can't be judging his kissing capabilities from a 10-second clip, no matter how close the camera was. And even though they chose to hook up in public, there's something about the video that feels like a massive invasion of privacy. You can only watch it once before you start to feel a little weird about it. The good news is that Harry has a lot more time to date at the moment, because he now has 6 weeks off before he starts touring through Europe in May. So it's a very convenient time for him to get a new love interest if that's what he wants to do. And now, if you've been rooting for Gwyneth Paltrow in the ski crash trial, I have some good news. Last week, her lawyers claimed that Terry Sanderson had captured a video of the collision on his GoPro, but then he decided to delete it because it would prove that he was the one who ran into Gwyneth. The evidence that remained of this was a link that he sent to his daughter, which could not be opened. Gwyneth's attorney said his team had attempted to open the link, but it was purposely faulty. But just when all hope seemed to be lost, Michael Fletcher, a tech investigator who happened to be keeping up with the trial, decided to try and open it. In the end, he was surprised at how easy it was. He solved the mystery in just 2 minutes and told Court TV that the only thing he had to do was create an account account on the website and log in. Michael said, "They just didn't know how to open the link. Honestly, it's comical how easy it was. I can't believe they didn't do this already. It's almost a joke. It was just common sense." While the link didn't lead him to the GoPro video, what he discovered was still very interesting. It was a hidden group chat including Terry Sanderson and his only witness to the incident, Craig Ramon. In one of the messages, he says, "You cannot make this up. Gwyneth took out Terry last week. Last Saturday, her son broke his arm skiing at Park City. Gwyneth was staying at the Montage. She took her plane out of Million Airport. What makes me mad is that Gwyneth took out Terry and just took off." This directly contradicts his testimony that he was not immediately aware that it was Gwyneth Paltrow who was involved in the crash. So he obviously knew who she was right away and knew that she was a massive celebrity. Of course, these messages were sent to her attorneys, and now the judge has ruled that they are admissible in the trial. So this is a huge setback for Sanderson, now that his only eyewitness has been discredited. At the moment, we are in the second week of the trial, and it's really dragging on. Even Gwyneth's children are involved. Yesterday, the jury heard testimonies from 18-year-old Apple and 16-year-old Moses, who were aged 11 and 9 at the time of the incident. They were happy to testify in person, but because of scheduling conflicts, the lawyers read their depositions out loud. Moses said he briefly saw the collision while he was skiing with an instructor. He and his instructor noticed the crash and skied over to where it happened, which was when he realized that his mum was involved. He heard her yelling at the guy who allegedly crashed into her from behind. Sanderson's legal team tried to claim that Gwyneth was distracted by her son calling to her, but Moses denied that this was the case. As for Apple, she didn't witness the crash personally, but she did hear some of the commotion from further down the hill. When she met up with her mother a little bit later, she recalled her looking shocked. Quote, "I asked what had happened, and she said, 'This a-hole ran into me. He ran right into my back.'" So her statement pretty much backs up everything that her mom has said about the accident. Now, the trial is not over yet, but so far it looks like Gwyneth has well and truly proven her case. And now, did you know that Prince Harry is going to war against the Daily Mail? And he's not the only one. Both Harry and Elton John were in court on Monday as a part of an explosive new lawsuit that they brought against the publisher of the Daily Mail called Associated Newspapers. They claim that in an effort to dig up dirt on celebrities, the newspaper is responsible for abhorrent criminal activity and gross breaches of privacy. This allegedly includes the placing of listening devices in their homes and on their cars, bugging their phone calls, and paying police for information. But the celebrities involved in this lawsuit are not backing down without a fight. About half a dozen high-profile figures have now joined together to take legal action. This includes actress Sadie Frost and Elizabeth Healy, filmmaker David Furnish, and Baroness Doreen Lawrence. The 4-day preliminary hearing in London will end with a judge deciding whether or not the case will go any further. David Sherborne, the lawyer for the group of celebrities, released a statement about the case. He said, "The claimants each claim that in different ways they were the victim of numerous unlawful acts carried out by the defendant or by those acting on the instructions of the newspapers, the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday." He said the alleged unlawful activity included illegally intercepting voicemail messages, listening into live landline calls, obtaining private information like itemized phone bills or medical records by deception or blagging. He said that these incidents ranged through a period from 1993 to 2011, and some of them even continuing until 2018. The High Court has now heard from Harry about how these incidents affected his mental health and his personal relationships. He claims that this massive invasion of privacy deprived him of important aspects of his teenage years. He knew the Daily Mail had unlawful ways of gathering information, and he actually believed they were using the people closest to him to do it. He then became suspicious of everyone around him, and so paranoid that he had to cut off certain friends. At one point, he viewed his peers as potential suspects who were willing to sell him out to the newspaper. So how did he find out about all of this? Well, apparently several private investigators that were working for the newspaper actually admitted to these illegal practices. It turns out the targets were Harry, his friends, and any potential romantic partner in his life. As a part of his testimony, he brought up his former girlfriend Chelsea Davy and the media's relentless coverage of them. The information that kept getting leaked about the couple created a terrifying situation. Harry said, "Their behavior and treatment of Chelsea was not normal. I was scared that Chelsea was going to run in the opposite direction or be chased and harassed to death." He said he went to extreme lengths to protect their privacy, but it was impossible. These continued invasions into his personal life eventually put a strain on all of his relationships. For their part, Associated Papers rebutted the allegations and said that Harry's claims appeared to be based on a confession by a private investigator. But they say that that investigator now denies that they paid him to do anything illegal. During his testimony, Harry also accused the royal family of withholding information from him for a long time about phone hacking. In a written statement, he said, "The institution made it clear that we did not need to know anything about phone hacking, and it was made clear to me that the royal royal family did not sit in the witness box, because that could open up a can of worms. He went on to explain how he found out that other people within the royal family had brought phone hacking claims against the press. Quote, "It was not an exaggeration to say that the bubble burst in terms of what I knew in 2020. When I moved out of the United Kingdom, there was never any centralized discussion between us about who had brought claims, as each office in the institution is siloed. There is this misconception that we are all in constant communication with one another, but that is not true." So basically, he found out that the institution had intentionally left him in the dark, even though they knew his privacy was being seriously invaded. This is a pretty big accusation to level against the royal family, but by now, after everything else that Harry has accused them of, it's not really that surprising. His hatred of the British tabloids is also no secret. We know that he blames the press for the death of his mother, Princess Diana. His wife, Meghan Markle, has also had her own battles with the press. In 2018, she sued Associated Newspapers Limited over 5 articles that they published, which included parts of the letter that she sent to her father, Thomas Markle. It took 3 whole years, but she eventually won her case. When Judge Mark Warby ruled in her favor, he decided that Meghan had a reasonable expectation that the contents of the letter would remain private, and that the articles had interfered with that reasonable expectation. In a statement of her own, Meghan called for a reshaping of the tabloid newspaper industry, and said that she had been patient in the face of deception, intimidation, and calculated attacks. So it's no wonder that Harry is also choosing to stand up to the British press with his latest legal battle against Associated Newspapers.